Hello, this is Deborah Yob with Black Education TV. Anyone who knows Bible prophecy knows that we are in the last days. There has been enough that has happened. We've seen enough to realize and to know that we are in the last days. One of the biggest indicators to me would be the awakening of the children of Israel. Now, I know all the signs and the wonders that we've seen across the earth. The water turning blood red, the animals dying off, and all of those things that the scripture told us would be great indicators. We see those things too. Those are the natural things. But on the spiritual level, we see the children of Israel are awakening. We know who we are. You see, we know who we are. Something else that the scripture said was going to take place in the last days. He says, in the last days I will pour out my spirit, my Ruach HaKodesh, on all flesh. And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Did you hear that, family? Your sons and your daughters. And your daughters and your daughters shall prophesy. This is to speak under the divine inspiration of the Most High Yah. Now I know that you've been taught that prophecy is simply the foretelling of future, like soothsayers or something like that. You have those who are teaching that because they don't want the daughters of Zion speaking or crying out or saying anything. Although the scripture teaches you differently. You have those who want to go against what the scripture says. They've created their own narratives as it relates to that. But the scripture says, in the last days I will pour out my spirit, my Ruach HaKodesh, on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, which is speak under the divine inspiration of the Most High Yah. But you have those who want to quench the Ruach HaKodesh. They don't want you to speak under the divine inspiration of the Ruach HaKodesh. They want you to be silent. They have spirits, unholy spirits, that are trying to cause them to quiet the daughters of Zion. The Most High is speaking, and many of his daughters are listening. Now, no one is saying that every person is to be out here speaking and teaching and doing all those things. No one is saying that, because you have to be called of the Most High Yah to do these things. When you go out of your own self, it will be obvious. But when the Most High calls one of his sons or his daughters, you better answer the call. And you better stay out of the way. Understand what I mean when I say stay out of the way. You stay out of the way. Don't get ahead of yourself. If you know that the Most High has called you to do something, don't get ahead of yourself. You allow him to work. Only go where he leads you. Only do what you are told. You have to listen for his voice. The problem is so many are hearing voices, but they are not the voice of the Most High Yah. You want to be led of his Ruach HaKodesh. Don't be led of men. Don't be led of yourself. Don't be led of your own desires. Sometimes you can allow yourself to get beside yourself. I've seen so many times where people get lifted up in pride. And I'm not talking about what some people deem to be pride. Sometimes when you speak with great boldness, people consider that pride. They call it pride because they have no idea what pride is. They just want to label people with that because they have a spirit in them that will not allow them to connect to the truth. So they will say that you're being lifted up in pride because you speak with great boldness. Speaking with great boldness isn't pride as it relates to speaking the truth of the Most High Yah. When you're speaking great boldness of yourself, that's a horse of a different color. That can be deemed as pride when you're speaking great boldness about yourself. Me, I. But when you're speaking the truth of the Most High Yah, you do that with boldness. Let people talk. Let them talk. Do what thus saith Yah. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. If the Most High speaks to you, you better listen. Because he says, my sheep hear my voice, and another they will not follow. Are you hearing Yah's voice, or are you hearing nothing at all? Are you hearing Yah's voice, or are you hearing the voice of another? Are you hearing Yah's voice, or are you hearing your own? There are many voices speaking, and in order to decipher Yah's voice and shut off the noise of all others, you are going to have to seek him with all diligence. It is in him we live, move, and have our being. Notice I said in him. You have to hide yourself in him. Rest in him. And shut off the noise of all others. People try to confuse you with rhetoric that is self-born. Things that they have perceived in their own flesh. And they want to silence the daughters of Zion. If you speak the truth, they call you a feminist. They call you a Jezebel. Or whatever it is they call women. I saw a sister so frustrated the other day on Facebook. She made a simple statement. And this brother went on this full rant calling her all kinds of evil things. And she says, look, I'm tired of this. I give up. I don't want no parts of none of this because I'm just tired of being called out of my name for asking a simple question. You can't honestly believe that it's the Ruach HaKodesh that causes or have these brothers doing this kind of stuff. And there are even other sisters who will come against other sisters because of what they've been taught by some man or because of some jealousy that they have bubbling up on the inside of them. They'll come against another sister. Because most people are not even trying to have a close relationship with the Most High so that they can hear his voice to determine whether or not he wants to use them. This is why we as a people seem to be caught up in so much confusion because we cannot hear the voice of Yah. We are hearing the voice of people. And the Most High is trying to speak, but guess what? He ain't gonna beg nobody. The word says to whom you yield your members, that's whose servant you are. Most people have become the servants of sin and self. And this is why they are not hearing the voice of the Most High Yah. Keep in mind what I started off talking about. We are in the last days, family. And the Most High says, I'm about to pour out my spirit. You hear that? He's about to pour it out. You better get under the flow. Understand what I'm saying? Get under the flow, family. Because he is going to pour out his spirit upon all flesh. Quench not the Ruach HaKodesh. Get under the flow so that when he pours out his spirit, you are there to receive. Understand what I'm saying? When he pours out, you want to be there ready to receive. Get under the flow. Get under the flow of his pouring out. And no, I'm not talking no magical hoodoo stuff. Some people are so spiritually dead that when you talk about spiritual things, they want to call you a witch. They want to call you some soothsayer. When you talk about the power of Yah, when you talk about spiritual things, because they have flatlined spiritually, they can't connect to this and they think it's witchery. No, the scripture actually says that he's going to pour out his Ruach HaKodesh on all flesh, and that there are going to be some things that he's going to cause his children to do as a result of it. His word actually talks about the power. He says, and ye shall receive power after that the Ruach HaKodesh has been poured on you. He's going to pour out his spirit, family. Get under the flow. Get under the flow. Don't reject knowledge because of some earthly understanding that you have of Yah's word. This is why people are so intrigued by superheroes. Because they feel like something supernatural is taking place. But when you read about some of the things that our people have done, some of our ancient ancestors, this is where a lot of that comes from. The Most High wants us to reconnect to the power that he has for us. He says, I'm going to pour out my Ruach HaKodesh and ye shall receive power. Do you want it, family? Or do you want to stay in this flat dimension, flat-lined, spiritually dead? I'm not talking something that is not achievable. I'm just telling you what the word says, that he is going to pour out his Ruach, and you just got to be ready. Choose ye this day what direction you will go in. You can choose life or you can choose death. You can choose weakness or you can choose power. And with that, I will say shalom.